Good morning. Sorry I'm so late. Just lots of stuff going on. Oh. How is everybody? Good, good. All right. I'm Phil. This is the Divine Fellowship. If that's not what you're looking for, you're in the wrong place. Okay. Qigong every Sunday morning, thank goodness. Wait a minute. Yeah, this is October 8th. So, Oneness Blessing? Am I at the wrong, I'm on the wrong, there, I'm in the wrong week. Hey, but at least I'm still okay on the Qigong. So, Josie is going to do the process again this afternoon, right? Okay, 1 o'clock. Cool. And drumming circle on Tuesday, I assume, with Daryl, as far as we know. Applied intuition, Valerie and Beth, they're going to be doing that on Wednesday. ARE on Thursday. Yes?
Ananda Mandala tomorrow night. Cleansing a breathing guided meditation with Teresa Chocolate at 6:30.
Ah. Here?
Here. Here.
Okay. Cool. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, and Halloween party is next Friday night here. So we're going to do a Halloween party. All right. Huh?
The Qigong 8-hour class Friday after Friday evening and Saturday here from 6:30 to 8:30 on Friday, 9:30 to 3:30 on Saturday. This is much more than what we do in the morning.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Let me know.
Yeah, I know. It's not on the calendar, so thank you. Thank you. Yep, flyers in the back for Qigong. Qigong and the Nanda Mandala. That's hard. I know. I noticed that. I said it right. So the Nanda Mandala, the Nanda Mandala, the Nanda Mandala. Yeah. Sure. The Nanda Mandala.
Okay, we're going to do this before he gets into his thing. Are you guys, can you hear me? Okay, I'll wait until everybody quiets down because this is important. Okay, one of the things we needed to do some house cleaning, we did some house cleaning. The carpeting was just cleaned this last week.
It looks good.
It is absolutely looks amazing, and we would like to please keep it that way. So if you're going to drink coffee or any other drinks in the sanctuary here, please make sure they're covered. Coffee cups need to have lids on them, okay? And be very, very, very careful with them so that nobody kicks them over or spills them. Oh, there we go, it's up now. So lids on the coffee. Also, one more thing. The glass table that was in the back room there with the wooden legs has disappeared on us. That wasn't a giveaway?
I have it for the owner. I took it home because I was afraid someone would take it.
Well, okay, because it was Mary Ann's?
No, Terry Ann.
Oh, Terry Ann's, okay. So she wanted it back? Okay, okay, then never mind about the table. We didn't know it disappeared. Books and the other giveaways, this is the last Sunday. If they're not taken by the end of service today, they're going to be taken care of and taken to a place to be given away. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. The Divine Fellowship, we always do things that are hopefully things that are useful to you. There's an article in the paper today, and Jan and I have talked about stuff like this before, and it's about money. M-O-N-E-Y, that green stuff. Hopefully it's green stuff and not the jingly stuff. But it just talks about the different types of people and the ones that are probably or maybe going to accumulate some in their lifetime and some that won't. And it's a lot in attitude. We've talked about that before. But they break it down into 4 groups. One is money avoidance. Money avoiders believe money is morally corrupting, that rich people are getting greedy, and therefore they themselves don't try to amass wealth when they get it. Money worship. Money worshipers believe that money will solve all of their problems and that their happiness and power is tied exclusively to having enough money. Money status. Those people are the ones that follow the money as status script, believe that their self-worth is equal only to their money. They tend to believe that it's important to buy new things as a marker of status rather than because they really need them. And then the money vigilance. People who are money vigilant emphasize frugality and savings, and they also a little bit secretive about how much money they actually have. You can probably guess which one tends to produce the most wealth over time, the money vigilance. So it's an interesting article, and kind of make you maybe a little more aware of who you might be and why you do the things you do. So interesting stuff. We do have a couple patron saints by the name of George Carlin and John Lennon. And before I do that, I've got somebody else that needs to do something.
I need to give you an apology. I was on the wrong week. You are on the calendar. You're done everything that you need to do. I apologize for my incorrectness. I'm a little screwed up sometimes, so I totally apologize. Yeah, I've got a few bugs up here.
We got a few things going on, so like a lot of people. So, John said, "You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you will join us, and the world will live as one." Heard that before somewhere. I'm not sure. Probably a good song. And George, do you think Sammy Davis ate Junior Mints? I don't know. Yeah, I never gave it any thought. Imagine that. Do what?
What was the last one you said? I didn't hear it.
Do you think Sammy Davis Jr. ate Junior Mints? It's a stupid. I know it's a stupid joke. Of course, it's a stupid joke.
It's George.
It's George. Yeah. Long before the beginning of recorded history, men learned to use tanned animal skins for a variety of purposes. Goat skin has usually been less abundant than sheepskin and is considered inferior for many purposes. Sheepskin played an important role in the making of clothing as late as the 13th century. Much earlier, it was used in the form of parchment. Books were bound in it, drumheads were covered in it, military men even devised sheepskin gear with which to protect fine weapons. Institutional resistance to change caused colleges and universities to cling to the custom of preparing sheepskin diplomas long after their paper was abundant and cheap. Not only was the actual skin of the animal used, as late as the middle of the 19th century, most diplomas were written in Latin. Whether or not he or she could read the roll on the parchment that certified that they had won the degree, a college graduate of the era regarded this very special sheepskin as one of the most important possessions. Born as a slang expression among American students, this vivid name for a diploma has spread around the world and remains very much alive in spite of the fact that most of them are now machine produced on heavy paper rather than hand lettered on genuine parchment. So, ta-da. Named after the Pulitzer Prize winning cartoonist, a Rube Goldberg machine is any exceedingly complex apparatus that performs a very simple task in a very indirect and convoluted way. And depending on your age, remember Mousetrap when we were kids? I love that game. That was, I would play with it for hours. Trying to make it better, actually. I kept trying to... I got rid of this and changed that. So, big surprise, yeah. It is well to remember that the entire population of the universe, with one trifling exception, is composed of others. We have to serve ourselves many years before we gain our own confidence. Ta-da. Little kids, talking about angels. Angels talk all the way while they're flying you up to heaven. The main subject is where you went wrong before you got dead. When an angel gets mad, he takes a deep breath, counts to 10, and when he lets out a big breath again, somewhere there's a tornado. Sarah, age 6. These other kids were much older. So, angels have a lot to do, and they keep very busy. If you lose a tooth, an angel comes in through the window and leaves money under your pillow. Then, when it gets cold, angels go south for the winter. Angels live in cloud houses made by God and His Son, who's a very good carpenter. All right. Why do toasters always have a setting that burns the toast to a horrible crisp, which with no decent human being could eat. Why is that? I don't understand that. And Jan's mom, bless her heart, it didn't matter. If she'd always burn toast and then scrape, get crumbs everywhere. We'd go over to the house, adjust it to where it made this perfect piece of toast, and the next time you were over there, scrape. Yeah, that's the way she did it. That's the way she did it. That's the way her mom did it. So, if Jimmy cracks corn and no one cares, why is it there's stupid song about him? If the professor on Gilligan's Island can make a radio out of a coconut, why can't he fix a hole in a boat? Why does Goofy stand erect while Pluto remains on all fours? These are important questions. All right, well, that's good enough today. We'll just stop right there. Jan, you want to? Been a lot of stuff going on this week. As a lot of you know, some of you might not, that, oh, yeah, there I go.
Start with the other one.
Okay, I'll start with you. No, I can't. Christopher passed this week, early in the morning on...
Actually, in the afternoon on
It was Tuesday afternoon. After, gosh, we're still trying to figure out how long it's been, but I think it's been close to 4 years. And Shannon, do you remember when his last service was here, roughly? Was it May? Okay.
I put the last service back on.
good for you.
Oh, okay, good. Thank
The
you.
problem is it's got an audio issue, but it's the best we can do at that point.
Yeah.
At least we got it.
Yep. So we talked with the family this morning, and the family is going to have their own private service, which I'll do. We still haven't gotten a date for that. It'll be a couple of weeks, but again, it's kind of for family only. But everyone's been asking, and we'd already been thinking about it for many months, what we were going to do for the church and for the rest of the public. So we think that our church is probably a little bit too small for that function.
Yeah.
So I've talked to the fine folks over at the Living Room Church in Kennewick. They're old friends of mine, and we can have their facility next Saturday. We don't have a time yet because I still got to get a hold of them after talking with everybody and trying to figure things out, because at that time we weren't sure when the family was going to do theirs. But anyway, it'll be Saturday at the Living Room Church. I think their facility holds about 300, so hopefully that will be enough for the church and for the rest of the community. You never know, but that's the best we can do. So stay in touch. We'll tell everybody what time next Saturday that will be, and we
If
will
I
go
don't
from
have
there.
your email, you might want to get it to me so that I can make sure you get on the email first.
It is on Garfield in Kennewick. You know where Garfield Hill is? If you are going up a really, really steep hill, you just passed it. So
Isn't that the old
it is Bethlehem Lutheran facility. Yeah, it is. Oh yeah.
Yes, I'll put it on Facebook, but there's a lot of people that are not on Facebook, so I want an email as well. So I'll do as much as I can of everything to try to get the word out.
And we need to get it with the family. Once we get the time, we need to get it back with the family. If they're going to put an obit in the paper, it needs to be in there.
Yeah, true.
So, okay.
So there's two things we wanted to do.
And we're also trying to figure out, the reason we, Andrea, bless her heart, that we've got that stained glass window back there, and that was devoted to Andrea. And the reason she got that was she was the first person to pass from the church. So that's why she got that. So we do want to do something for Christopher.
We're not exactly sure
We've got a
what.
couple of things in mind, but we'll see where they go before we do any kind of
So
announcement.
we'd like to have something here that is acknowledgement of his.
Because that's pretty significant. So,
Let's do this one and then
okay.
Can we talk?
We did this candle for the tragedy in Las Vegas, and I don't want this to be a habit. But we're going to do it this week for the tragedy in Northern California, especially with all the fires. I mean, good grief, 41 dead, hundreds missing, and thousands of homes destroyed. I can't imagine. So we're going to do this for that, and we're not going to do like the American flag now. You see it at half-mast all the time. You never know really what it's for. I mean, you can always find something to be upset about. But these are two fairly significant things, so we're gonna honor the ones that have passed, and hopefully the only ones that have passed in California during the fires.
So I don't have a microphone. This one's for. Tell them. This one is. This wick is for the ones that have lost their lives. So hold them in honor at the moment, please. This is for their families. And this is for everyone whose lives will forever be changed because of this experience. Sorry. My humanity is leaking out my nose. And this one is only for Chris.
And the song we're going to play might be a little appalling to some people, but it was one of Christopher's favorites here. So, and I guarantee you can't have the sniffles or sneezes when you're watching it. So, but I got to go cue it up. What am I doing?
Go. You know that was a gift from Christopher. You just know that. And for those on YouTube, you missed it. We played Happy and danced around here like crazy nuts. And then Uptown Funk came on right after that, and we just let it roll. So you should come to church sometime. It might be fun.
Tag on the YouTube site if I can.
You're going to tag it on the YouTube?
Try tag it.
Cool. You won't get all of us doing our thing. But you'll get the gist of it.
I could do that, but we have some issues.
Yes, we'd have issues. We don't want to have issues. We have enough issues with life as it is.
I would still wish the copyright infringement for that. I still.
Still wish the comment. Did you actually record that?
No, I did not. But
Yeah.
next time I
Oh, you did?
I did.
We can post it on Facebook, right?
Heck yes.
Heck yes. Go check out the Divine Fellowship Facebook group. And I can I what?
Disclaimer on it.
that I don't have the rights to this song.
Okay. We'll figure that out.
I don't have the rights to the song, but I got the rights to dance my butt off.
Absolutely. If you didn't hear that, YouTube, she doesn't have the rights to the song, but she has the rights to dance her butt off to it. Oh, loved it. I posted something on Christopher's homepage as a thank you. Posted it and vanished. It was just gone. And I thought, oh, that was kind of interesting. And then, so I mentioned that because I figured, it went to where it needed to go. He got that. And then as soon as I finished posting that, how interesting is this? I went back and looked and it had posted itself. So he got it and he said, okay. Don't you love it? I just love it. So as sad as we are about all of that, we can experience all this with love and joy and light, because that's what it's all about. And we get to grieve. We get to have grief. Which brings me to our topic of discussion today. I want to talk to you about positive and negative emotions. And the first thing I want to say about that is that I prefer to use the term unpleasant and pleasant. And the reason I prefer that is that we often think negative emotions or unpleasant emotions are bad and we shouldn't have them. And I say to you, hooey! I say to you, they have a message for us, that they're powerful, they're meaningful, and they're important. They're not fun, but they're important. So if we can take them and learn what they have to offer us, then we can move forward and we can move into those higher states of awareness, into those pleasant emotions. So I want to talk just briefly about a couple of emotions, a few emotions, and their possible message that we might be missing because we're judging them to be negative. So rather than negative, unpleasant. So let's look at some unpleasant emotions. And the reason unpleasant emotions are so powerful is because we don't change if it's good. And I don't know about you, but I want to grow. I want to be a better spiritual person tomorrow than I am today. I'm on this path of improvement. And sometimes I don't improve if status quo is just blah. It's pain that wakes me up and go, oh, I need to take a look at that. This is not what I want to do. This is not where I want to be. So sometimes those unpleasant emotions have really powerful messages for us to help us change. And then the positive emotions, it's like bring it on. Keep doing the same stuff. If you're feeling positive emotions in every aspect of your life, just keep doing that because you're on track. Does that make sense? So there's nothing wrong with feeling an unpleasant emotion. It's powerful. But let's take a look at it because sometimes we misinterpret the message that it's telling us. So let's look at hopelessness. When we feel hopeless, what we're telling ourselves or what our own chemical mindset is revealing to us is that we're putting our hope in the wrong thing. We're putting our hope in the wrong thing. Are we hoping for some magic to come along and change our world? Not going to happen. You'll feel hopeless because that's not going to happen. Are we hoping that somebody is going to change to make our world okay? We have no control over that. So we're putting our hope in the wrong thing. We're hoping that we can manage it, handle it, change it ourselves, fix it ourselves. Sometimes higher power is important to call upon to ask for assistance. And sometimes we get to ask other human beings for help. Hopelessness is this wake-up call that our hope is in the wrong spot. Shift. Remember I have that t-shirt that says shift happens? It's much better than the alternative version. Helplessness is kind of similar to that, feeling helpless. But here's the cool thing with being helpless, or feeling that helpless. That awakens within us vulnerability. There's great power in vulnerability. When we're vulnerable, that opens us up to becoming a seeker. We can seek something new. We can ask somebody who has done it and succeeded for their help. We don't have all the answers. So by being vulnerable, we get to say, I don't have the answer for that. I wonder who does. And by saying, I wonder who does, then that awakens us to possibilities. When we are awakened to possibilities, we're no longer hopeless, helpless. We're now moving forward. Even if we don't know where we're going. The momentum has begun. The willingness has begun. Does that make sense? We get to seek, we get to learn, we get to do it differently. So if you're feeling helpless, yay, hallelujah. Uptown Funk's going to get it to you. I don't know. Fear. When we feel the emotion of fear, this is alerting us. This is the body's mechanism that says something's amiss. Watch out. But here's the problem with that. Sometimes we get hypervigilant, or we get freaked out, and then even if things are okay, we have this visceral response. This is not okay. It's never going to be okay. I have to be upset all the time. And that robs us of living. Because when there's fear, there's no love. There's no compassion. There's no moving forward. There's no joy. There's no grace. There's nothing but fear. You can have one or the other. So this is asking you to choose. It's asking you to choose to put your trust in something different than you're currently putting your trust in. If you've had a trauma and you're locked in that fear cycle, then sometimes it's important to back up a little bit and realize that, okay, that trauma happened, and I'm a different person now. Now you're not going to allow the same kind of situation to happen again because you're forewarned. You got this. You know this, right? So you can now start getting closer to people you can trust. You know what untrustworthy feels like. Stop hanging out with those kind of people. Start hanging out with people that you know you can trust. And don't trust everything until you've tested the waters. Give a little bit and see if you get something back. If you don't get anything back, that's not somebody you can trust. So it's sharpening your trust mechanism. It's recognizing your trust mechanism has been overloaded and fried, and now it's time to recalibrate it, reorganize that. Does that make sense? Frustration. Don't you love frustration? Frustration is kind of an interesting emotion. It's not really an emotion, it's a response. It's a judgment, actually. It's a judgment that this is not how I want it. So I'm frustrated because it's not happening fast enough, it's not doing right. We get frustrated because we're judging that we should be able to do it better or differently, quicker, faster. Have you ever done that before? No? I haven't done that. But we get frustrated with ourselves because we assume that if we decide we're going to do something, we know how to do it completely perfectly the first time. Hooey, right? But no, we judge ourselves that way. Oh, I didn't do it perfectly. I must be terrible. I must be frustrating. I must be mad about that. And then we look at other people. Well, they're frustrating me. Well, they get to. How are we going to respond to that? So the frustration here is a wake-up call. We're in judgment. If you're frustrated, I want to take a look at judgment. And you get to be in judgment and say, oh, look, I'm in judgment about that. And that willingness to look at it, taking a second look at it, empowers you to see it differently. As long as you stay frustrated, you're frustrated. It's self-perpetuating. And you keep going. And then you get frustrated about other stuff. You ever noticed that? I'm frustrated about this. No, look, that shoelace is untied. I can't stand that. I mean, everything gets blown out of proportion. Have you not? Yeah, right? I'm not the only one that does that, I think. Sad. We've all felt sad, and especially today, sad. But here's the energy of sad. We call that a negative emotion. It's not negative. It's beautiful. That tells you you've loved enough to care. Honor it. Welcome it. Move through it. Cry it out. Feel it. It's okay. It's okay. There's a beauty in that. There's a beauty in that. It's letting you know there's a loss. Sadness is expression of loss. Now you get to look at what the loss is. Is it a loss of status? You get to shift your judgment about whether that was all that important to you or not. It's a loss of a loved one. You get to grieve. And you get to know, I loved so much, I feel sad. It's a beautiful thing. It's beautiful. It's this beautiful path of discovery of who you really are. Because if you have sadness in your world, there's a lot of caring here. And as you look at that, you can find ways to release the loss and move beyond the loss. And beyond the sadness is beautiful memories of love and tenderness and kindness. Worried. We get worried when things aren't adding up the way we want them to. We may be too invested in the outcome if we're worried. Well, it's got to look like this. Unless, of course, it doesn't. It might look something totally different that we haven't even imagined. That could be so much more wonderful. Worry is a prayer in reverse. Worry is a prayer in reverse. To look at something and say, this is not going right, gives you this beautiful moment to look at it. And in the moment that you look at it, you can also look at what's my part. If I'm not doing my part, stop being in the worry, we can shift and do, okay, I'm going to do the next right thing. And sometimes it's even better to do the hardest thing first. Because if you do the hardest thing first, then that releases all this energy of accomplishment that you can apply to the next step. It's amazing. Do the hardest thing first. But what's my part? If I am doing my part, there's no room for worry. I can be concerned, and I can have moments of communication with, if there's other people involved in this situation, I can communicate them, okay, here's where we're at, and here's on task, and you agreed to do this, how's that coming? If they drop the ball, I can find somebody else to do that. And let go of worry. Worry has no place. But worry is this momentary challenge that says, what's my part? What's somebody else's part? And how can I communicate that? How can I get started on my part? That makes sense? If you're unclear about your part, you can pray about it. Because worry is a prayer in reverse, so start praying a different way. Show me the next thing to do. Show me the next right step. And that short circuits worry. Worry is optional. Pain is optional. Find yourself feeling joyful? Do more of that. Do more of that. While I'm playing, I can't play, I got to work for a living. Find work that you can enjoy. Or bring that joyful attitude into whatever you're doing. You can find joy in filing. You don't like it, but you can bring joy into that, because when you're done, those are done. They're put away. They may not be in the right spot. I may never find those again. It's just fun. I'll have to search for hours for that. No, I do. But find a way to bring joy into everything. Because if you bring joy into everything, all the ones we're talking about that are on the unpleasant side don't have a foothold in your heart. Don't have a foothold in your life. Fatigue. This is letting us know you're ready to give it a rest. Give it a rest. Your body might need some recharging. And perhaps you're even doing too much of the good stuff, and your body needs some recharging. So give it a rest. Or you're involved in something where there's little or no payback. It's not bringing you joy. It's not what you're meant to do. And we all have tasks that are not fun. I'm not talking about the not fun stuff. I'm talking about the life-sucking tasks that drain us and make us feel listless and wiped out. Time to look at what we're investing our time and energy in. If you wake up in the morning and go, oh, I got 100 credits of energy today, and I'm going to waste them all worrying. It's a choice. You chose that. We don't think about it, but we choose it because it's an automatic program. It's just running in the background. We get to stop that. The fatigue is this moment that says, give it a rest. Take a new look. Look at it differently. Make sense? Seek rest. Seek help. Seek renewal. Seek new friendships, new connections. And give it a rest. Give it a rest. Resentful. That's an unpleasant emotion, is it not? I mean, and none of us wake up and go, I'm going to be resentful today. We wake up saying, I'm going to have a great day today, and the next thing you know, there's this little resentment and you're in there. And that's what it feels like. Resentment relates back to unmet expectations. I expected them to do that, they didn't do that, and now I'm resentful. It's their fault. Nope. It would be nice if you could blame someone and bless that energy away, but no, it doesn't work that way. The power between you and another, or you and a situation, is out of balance. This is about power. And reclaiming your power in a positive way is going to release you from resentment. Check the power source. Are you needing to be right? You can give that one up. You know, a lot of us are right a lot of the time, but we're not all right all the time. And it doesn't even matter if we're right or wrong. Are you happy? If you're not happy, you might want to give it a rest. Do we need to have it done a certain way? Do we need it in a certain time frame? Is it a need or an expectation? Is it an unspoken contract? Sometimes we have resentment because the other person doesn't know we have an expectation. And they're not fulfilling it. We open our mouths and tell them what we would like to see happen. What I'd like to see happen here is this. Say it. And then the other person has a choice of going, ain't no way, or, oh, I could do that. Their choice. Their choice. And in that moment, you can choose to do it yourself, or hire it done, or let it go. But it's choice. It's power of choice. If you're feeling resentful, you've relinquished your power of choice in some way or shape or form. It's a power struggle within yourself. And clarification, letting know, people know what you want. Let them know, it's okay. They're not mind readers. Even psychic people are not mind readers. I can't expect you to know what I'm thinking or what I want if my lips are not moving. If my lips are moving and you're misunderstanding me, that's a whole other thing. And we can talk that out. Make sense? Clarification, clarification. If there's resentment, clarification is necessary. And along with that, forgiveness. Forgiveness of oneself. Forgiveness of another person. Forgiving yourself because you didn't communicate clearly. Forgiving the other person for not reading your mind. And they get to choose. They get to choose to help you or not help you. This is not about the world according to Janice. It's the world according to highest and best good. It doesn't have to be my way. Oh, darn it, I would sure like it to be. Last one, and then I'm going to do a quick guided meditation because we're like way behind. Isolated. You ever feel isolated? Well, there's that isolation that comes when we just back off and we give ourselves time. Give it a rest. And then there's choosing out. And choosing out makes us feel isolated. And the reason we choose out is because we don't fit in. If you're choosing out, either you're too tired and exhausted and you need to give it a break, or you don't fit in. This is not your tribe. Find your tribe. Find the family that you love. You can't regroup without the group. And if you're not regrouping, you're in the wrong group. You're not wrong, you're not broken, you're not failing. It's time to find a new group that fits for you. Does that make sense? Fitting in is something we've all tried to do over the years. And how helpful is that? Then we get resentful, worried, all those other things happen because we're not in a place where there's mutual trust, mutual respect, and mutual help, mutual admiration. Make sense? So, seek a new tribe. And along with that isolation, one more thing. When we choose out. Sometimes we choose out because we're wounded, we're hurt. And one of the most powerful techniques for getting beyond a wound and a pain and a hurt, go walk a shelter dog. Go do a kindness to a neighbor. Having compassion shifts everything, and we no longer feel isolated because we're connecting in a new way. You walk a shelter dog, it's nothing but love. Take cookies to a neighbor, nothing but love. They will love you. Make sense? Do kindness. Kindness breaks that isolation and begins to forge new connections in a positive, beautiful, gentle way. Does that make sense to you? There's probably other emotions that we could tap into. I want to share with you what the Good Book says about this stuff. A couple of quick things. In Psalms 51, I love this one. Create in me a clean heart, O God, and renew a steadfast spirit within me. Skipping down to verse 17. Thou art not pleased with burnt offering. The sacrifices of God are broken spirit, a broken and contrite heart. O God, thou wilt not despise. Now, a broken, contrite heart is not the same thing as a broken will. Life circumstances try to break you down. But this contrite heart is going, oh, I don't want to do that anymore. Oh, I worry. I don't want to do that anymore. That is sacrificing the need to worry because it's an old pattern, sacrificing that pattern, laying it on the altar of forgiveness, and choosing to do it differently, asking for a blessing to do it differently. Romans chapter 12, verses 1 and 2. Maybe further. We'll see where I stop. I urge you, therefore, brethren, by the mercies of God, to present your bodies a living and holy sacrifice. We were just talking about sacrifice. Don't sacrifice yourself, but sacrifice those patterns that no longer serve. Lay them up. Lay them up on the altar. Let them go. Acceptable to God, which is your spiritual service of worship. When you do the right thing, that's worship. Singing and being happy, that's worship. Having compassion for your fellow man, that's worship. That's living it. Living it. And do not be conformed to this world. Does the world worry? Mm-hmm. Does the world want you to worry too? Mm-hmm. That's not your tribe anymore, people. But be transformed by the renewing of your mind, that you may prove what the will of God is, which is good and acceptable and perfect. If it's good, acceptable, and perfect, it's God's will. You're in alignment with God's will. You're doing the deal. Everything else can be sacrificed. Everything else can be let go, relinquished, so that you can be in the more pleasant emotional state. The sacrifice that you're being asked to give is not painful. It's being willing to let go of pain. Are you ready? You want to do that? Or do you love worry and pain and suffering and isolation so much that you want to hang on to that? It's hard to let it go. That's why it's called a sacrifice. You have to lay it on the altar and get rid of it. Put it to death in your world. It's a luxury you can no longer afford. It's a luxury that you can no longer afford. Pain is optional. And you get to choose. Every day gets to be a new choice. You get to choose how you're going to feel, how you're going to live today. And you get to make it great. You get to choose to be happy. Because you've got Uptown Funk. Let's do communion, and then I'll do guided meditation for you.